Good evening, everyone. We are the Libertarian Party. We stand for personal and economic freedom. We challenge the cult of the omnipotent state and defend the rights of the individual. My name is Angela McArdle. I'm the chair of the Libertarian National Committee, and I'm joined by my fundraising director here, Mr. Luke Troxel.
Hey there, Angela. Glad to be on.
Great. Tonight, we are celebrating our candidates for taking the fight to the ballot box and going on the offensive against elected officials who would love to tax and regulate us all into poverty. We have over, I believe, 100 candidates running to this year, which is really fantastic in an off year, and it's mostly for a local office. Whether you support common sense constitutional reforms, strict federalism, or national divorce, localization is key. Local candidates build the skills and infrastructure necessary to advance our political goals at the state and federal level. Individual rights, free speech, the right to bear arms, economic freedom, and the abolition of unconstitutional agencies like the CIA, FBI, and the NSA. We do have state-level candidates in Virginia also, whom we appreciate very much. Thank you for running. And as soon as this election passes, we'll be gearing up for the 2024 election season as well. Our national convention is Memorial Day weekend of 2024 in Washington, D.C. That's right, we will be there attempting to drain the disgusting swamp. We'll be selecting our presidential candidate at that time. If you're interested in attending as a delegate and casting your vote for your favorite presidential candidate, please sign up with your state-level Libertarian Party. The National Convention is a blast, and presidential years are especially exciting. Let me go ahead and pass it over to Luke so he can remind you all how to support our efforts.
Hey, everyone. So the best way to support our efforts is to become a member here at the Libertarian Party. You can do that at lp.org/join. Your membership goes to help fund our ballot access efforts, our attempts to support candidates, our ability to fund initiatives like the current billboard campaign that we have going on in all of our worst Warhawk areas. If you haven't heard about it, Operation Warhawk Removal is an initiative that we're currently running, putting up billboards all over the United States, targeting the worst Warhawks in Congress in order to help us get libertarians elected and to remove those Warhawks from the table. So if you want to support those efforts, go join, become a member. You can also, if you're already a member, go ahead and donate, lp.org/donate or lp.org/join. So please donate where you see your best efforts to be used, and help us get back on the ballot in all the states and get rid of all these Warhawks.
Thank you so much, Luke. So throughout the course of the evening, we're going to be bringing on some people who are candidates in the Libertarian Party, hearing from them, hearing about how their experience as a candidate was, some of the highlights, maybe some things that they would do differently or some things that we could do better to help them in the next election cycle. And we are going to bring on our first guest right now. Thank you so much for joining us, Christopher Richardson. Welcome so much. Thank you for taking time out of your day on election day, especially to come and chat with us. Can you share with everyone what position you're running for?
I'm running for town council for the town of Windfall.
And that's in North Carolina?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. So that's really great. Tell us a little bit about, like what your platform was, maybe some of the ways that you got out and campaigned, just a little bit about your experience in general.
First experience was actually a neighbor who's a Republican. Him and I have spoke politics, and he knew where I stood on a lot of different stances. And there was an opening, somebody quit on the council. So he talked to two ladies that were on the council that were conservative minded, and they voted me in. And that was back in March.
Nice.
And since March, I've been 110% transparent and everything. The town never had meeting minutes that were public. I made those public through motions. We were on probation, the town, through the state of North Carolina for, various reasons. And I made that public, also on the town website. And instead of making everybody my enemy, I worked with a lot of the Republican Party. And, because of that, they didn't run against me. I've gotten a lot of support with them. And matter of fact, my campaign chair is a Republican. And he's helped me through this whole entire process. So it's pretty cool. A lot of the older crowd, I wish there was some more closer to my age range. I'm 39, but a lot of the 50s and 60s range, they'll help me with writing motions and, strategies and things like that. So it's more of like a community effort.
Nice. Did you encounter like much corruption in your community, like in the government?
Well, one thing I noticed was they did a lot of contract work. So that's one of the things we're trying to stop is all the contract work, which is one of the reasons why we went out and we actually hired a roads and grounds personnel instead of contracting that labor out. For multiple reasons. One, it closes a loophole for corruption. Two, contracting out labor is more costly to the taxpayer. And one of the issues we had in the town was funds. We have,
very interesting.
I always tell people in the town, we have $400,000 in the bank and $3 to $6 million of problems. So they're not all going to be fixed in a day.
And how big is your town?
About five. Well, some websites say 550, some say up to 7 something. So somewhere between 500 and 700. And
That's
it's
really
about 188 homes.
And so you're really focused on saving money for your constituents.
Not only saving money, we have deteriorating infrastructure. So it's kind of hard to address the deteriorating infrastructure that's been kind of left to the wayside when you don't have funds.
Right.
But it's been left to the wayside for so long that even saving the money is not going to fix all the problems. So one of the things I'm looking to do if I win this election, which right now I'm in the lead, is I'm going to push a motion to form a grants committee. Personally, I don't think we should have grants, but I'm not the overseer of that and they're available. So might as well see if we can get some.
Interesting. Well, that's pretty cool. Is this your second time running for office?
I was going to run for county commissioners, but it was really, really late.
Yeah.
So I got a late start and I was about 50 signatures short. So that was a couple years ago. But other than that, this is the first time I ran for office.
Fascinating. And then is there anything that you think the national or even maybe your state level party could do to help you, to make it easier or to help other candidates like you? It sounds like you had a pretty good campaign.
To be honest with you, the town of my size, I don't think there's really a whole lot you could do. I mean, I haven't spent a dime. I've received donations, but I haven't cashed a single check. As a matter of fact, once this election's over, I'm sending all those donations back. Not because I'm not appreciative of them, but I didn't need them. I don't have a single yard sign. I didn't spend any kind of money, maybe a quarter tank of gas, drive around, talk to people. I just kept my word. I used common sense and logic when I made decisions that benefited the whole town, not one neighborhood, not one section, not the rich, not just the poor, everybody, and completely transparent in everything. One thing I noticed in the council meetings is the council very rarely ever talks to the public. Yeah. And I get told by the lawyer all the time, you don't have to talk to them. Oh, I know I don't have to, but I understand where they're coming from. They just want some answers.
Yeah.
So I try to give them answers. I try to answer their questions if I know the answer to it. If I don't, I just tell them flat out I don't.
Yeah. It's like you're in a small town, so people just assume everything is above board and open and transparent because everybody knows each other, but that's really just not the way that it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
Having grown up in a small town, I would say that is usually not the case.
That's really interesting. My friend Cody Womack was elected to city council in Lone Star, Texas, and he ended up firing one of the employees that the mayor had hired because the person was found to be consuming illicit substances on the job.
Oh, wow.
And, it's fascinating, right? To think about you can get one libertarian elected, maybe in a small town like yours for free, but maybe it would cost up to, maybe just $500 to even $5,000 somewhere. But you think about how many taxpayer dollars you can save if you fire a bureaucrat who is doing a terrible job or shouldn't have a job, quite frankly. I mean, we know that so many of these jobs are just bloat. So I would encourage everybody, support your local libertarian candidates because they can make a huge difference that way.
Well, I've had a lot of help with some of the local libertarians as well. And there's not a whole lot, but once a month we meet up. We normally have dinner and, we talk about little things going on in our communities and get some insight from other like-minded individuals.
Mm-hmm. Are you the only Libertarian who ran in elections in your town this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Very nice. All right.
Now, one thing I would do if it was a bigger town, I would still kind of go a little bit with my strategy is, look at your views, point your views out to like I've done it with the Republican Party. I've shown them that, them and I are not much different.
Right.
And I try to explain it to them. If you get any individual sit down and talk politics all day, you're not going to agree on everything. Even if you had one-on-one with every Libertarian or every Republican or every Democrat. So I look at it, I try to build allies through that. So that way, instead of them running against me or working against me, they're working for me or working in my favor.
Especially
which in turn
at
is
the
in their
local
favor.
level, right? Like at the local level, you're having way less controversial, like ideological issues. It's just like local tax reform, regulatory reform, transparency. I assume it's mostly things of that nature. You're not signing, executive orders.
Exactly. Trying to make sure you get a good deal for everybody, not just yourself, not just one area.
Yep.
Now,
Have you,
Chris, sorry, Angela. Chris, how many votes did you have to get the position last time, and how many votes are going to be what makes the decision about whether you get elected this time?
So looking through the data, pretty much about 35, 40 votes should be enough to win. But I didn't run last time. I was voted in by the current council when there was a vacancy. That was back in March. But one of the things like I bring up is some of the people that I'm campaigning against, I've only been on council since March and I have more to show for what I've done than them.
Nice.
And some of these guys have been on there for years. And then when they talk about their accomplishments, they talk about their accomplishments as in, I've been here this long or I've been in this position. That's not an accomplishment. What did you do for the town? What did you do for the citizens? How did you save us money? How did you avert this crisis or that crisis? They don't have those talking points.
so any other big plans once you're elected?
Lockdown ordinances to make bad decisions harder to make.
Did your town have lockdowns in 2020?
No.
Very nice. Very nice.
Fantastic.
I wish I'd lived somewhere like that. That sounds amazing.
I enjoyed it, but I was working from home, so it didn't bother me much.
Right, right. Well, we have another candidate who's getting ready to join us. Any parting words for us, Mr. Richardson?
No, ma'am. I just appreciate you guys reaching out to me, and I appreciate my 5 minutes of fame.
Ha, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for stepping up. We need people like you to do the good work. We can only talk about individual rights so much on the internet. Someone's got to get out there and actually do the good work. So thank you
Exactly.
so much.
Good luck, Chris.
You as well.
All right, that was awesome. I'm super stoked. We're already off on a high note. It sounds like Christopher Richardson is going to be winning his race in North Carolina. So that's fantastic. We're going to be joined by Mr. Derek Brose in just a moment. He is also running for office, and he's going to be sharing with us how his campaign went. Let's welcome him up. Hello and welcome.
Hey, how are you guys doing? Thanks for having me on.
You are
Welcome,
so
Derek.
welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're running for office, and how your day has been so far.
Yeah, so I'm based in Houston, Texas. I've been here my whole life, and for those who don't know my work, I'm independent journalist, and I've been doing activism and journalism in various forms 14 years here in Houston and around the U.S. And I ran for mayor of Houston in 2019, and I ran again this year. Largely around the conversation that you guys were just talking about lockdowns and stuff. Houston, being in Texas, wasn't as bad as some other places, but there still were some mandates that on the local level they tried to force through. And so I was campaigning on, talking about individual liberty as it relates to the COVID issue, but some other more specific local issues. But actually, my campaign was derailed about 2 months ago. I filed on day one to be on the ballot after campaigning since February. And although I did campaign in 2019, the mayor's office, the current mayor who's on his way out, Sylvester Turner, who I have confronted quite a bit as an activist and as a journalist and had him run away from me and ignore me at city council and all these fun things. sent a personal letter from his office rejecting my ballot application, saying that I was disqualified because I'm an 18-year-old nonviolent drug possession felony from when I was 20 years old. I'm 38 now.
Wow.
And they used that to basically used what I consider to be a faulty interpretation, but they used an interpretation of Texas election code to disqualify me. And it's, it's kind of started this whole other issue, which is, obviously I care about the drug war and things like that. And I went to jail for drugs, but it doesn't really affect me too much because I'm independent journalist. I'm entrepreneur.
Mhm.
I've made my own way, but this was just like, okay, they used this to prevent me from being on the ballot. I did everything I could up until the deadline on August 21st. We're calling felons rights organizations and recovery organizations in Houston and all around the nation, and working with different attorneys. And I actually got all the candidates, including a Texas state senator and congresswoman, who are the leading candidates, excuse me, to sign a letter saying that they agreed with my right to run and that they believed I should be on the ballot. I had people calling the city attorney's office, calling the mayor's office up until the moment on August 21st at 5 p.m. And nonetheless, they refused and they disqualified me. So my campaign, I'm not on the ballot tonight, unfortunately, as mayoral candidate, but my campaign, one of the kind of main focus, besides, like I said, COVID related stuff that I was bringing to the table, was calling for taking away the power of the mayor's office. And
Nice.
I talked about this in 2019. I'm sure you guys are familiar, but for those who aren't, like, the city governments typically are strong mayor and weak mayor forms, and there's variations city to city, but that's kind of, some strong and some are weaker. Houston actually has the strongest mayoral system in the entire U.S. I think Denver's the only other that I've seen that's similarly set up, where the mayor not only sets the budget for the different districts, there's 16 in Houston, but also the mayor is the only one that can decide what goes on the weekly agenda. So these council members are supposed to be representatives. If they get phone calls from their constituents and saying, hey, I'm concerned about crime or flooding or whatever it may be, they literally have no power to then say, hey, I want to put this on the agenda this week to talk about
Mhm.
it because my people care about it. Only the mayor has that power. And so I was running in 2019 saying, this is insane. This is why does one person have this much power? Elect me for mayor and I'm going to greatly reduce this power. And I didn't win then, but the idea caught on and the other candidates started to talk about it. And it caught on so much that in 2020, a coalition of different groups, from democratic socialists to religious groups to everything else, came together and got more than 40,000 petition signatures to get something similar on the ballot. And it's now on the ballot today. It's called Proposition A. And what it would do is allow 3 council members to add items to the weekly agenda, basically breaking the stranglehold that the mayor's office has had
Mhm.
on Houston politics for decades. And so once I was kicked off the ballot, we kind of switched gears and said, all right, well, let's just focus on getting Prop A passed. I had also told my team way back in January when I first started campaigning that for some reason, I just had a feeling they were going to try to use my felony against me this time. And so I kind of prepped everybody, like, we could get this close and they might try to disqualify me, but we were prepared. And in the end, they disqualified me. But I'm happy to say that we just checked with 30 of the numbers coming in. Prop A is passing with 83% of the city supporting
Wow.
it. And this means, first, um, the city charter will be amended to allow for council members to do this for the first time. It's been this way at least since the 70s in Houston. So, in my view, a lot of the things that I tried to fight for in the past, whether that was police accountability or water quality or whatever the issue may be, there were so many times where we had council members willing to sit with us and to listen to us and talk to us, but they would ultimately say, my hands are tied, I can't do anything, like, I can't put an agenda. This changes that. So this could really, if the people choose to use it in Houston, it could really revolutionize our ability to get shit done in a positive way and to stop things that we want to stop from government on a local level. So that's really cool. That's happening. And then, my lawsuit was just filed last week. So I'm officially suing the state of Texas, or the city of Houston, saying that Texas election code, their interpretation of Texas election code is unconstitutional with the U.S. Constitution and the Texas Constitution. So that's probably going to be a much longer battle. I do have a legal fund going on, and we're just at the beginning of that. But yeah, so we're taking on the city that way, and we got this measure passed. So despite not being on the ballot, we're trying to see what we can do to actually have some local control and local power.
I mean, that's really stressful and frustrating about your mayoral race, but that is outstanding that you got so much support behind Prop A. Do you think that that's going to position you to pursue like additional issue coalitions, maybe?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think this is, I was yeah, I think this is the key to doing that even more now. Because again, like the coalition that came together,
Yeah.
well, you have my campaign. After I was kicked off the ballot, we kind of rebranded as the Movement to Empower Houstonians. So myself and all the volunteers, we're still going to campaign events. We're still going out to the city promoting Prop 8. Then you got Democratic Socialists of Houston. They're out there promoting it as well. You know, from their own to different material, different campaign,
Sure.
messaging, pushing it. And I think that's the cool thing about it is it's like everywhere we were going, talking to Democrat. The other thing is the races locally in Texas, they're nonpartisan officially. I mean, you can tell who is which. There's no parties next to it, but either way, across the spectrum, people were like, "What? That's a thing? Like the mayor has that much power? The council members can't do that." And we also got the support by letting the council members who are running and who are trying to get with it tonight, letting them know, say, "Hey, look, you should support Prop 8 too, because if it doesn't pass, you're not going to have any power to do anything. So you might want to get this in there as well." And in the way I see it is, since I was taken off the ballot, the two people who are the leading candidates, who, according to the numbers, there's always a runoff in Houston because the voter turnout is just so low. Nobody hits 51%, and it looks like it's going to be that way again. The two candidates that are going to make the runoff are combined 80 years in political office. Like, so you have John Whitmire, 50 years in the Texas Senate, Sheila Jackson Lee, 35 something as a congresswoman, and they've spent $13 million on this race. And even with all that, they can barely get 200,000 people to turn out to vote. And that vote is divided among 18 candidates. It's not just them. So kind of a symbol of just like a sad state of affairs. All the local excited about these candidates. I was trying to provide an alternative. I think we would have. I was endorsed by the Harris County Libertarian Party as well as
Nice.
the Texas Mises Caucus and other organizations that I was great. The last poll when I was in showed that 7% of likely voters would have considered me. I think those numbers would have gone even higher up if we had stayed in the race. I think we would have seen even higher polling numbers. So it's annoying to have to deal with that, but nonetheless, kind of getting Prop 8 to pass overwhelmingly is kind of like a good prize.
Awesome. Well, what do you think? Do you think you might run again? Do you think that you might want to run
I
again?
didn't think I would run again after 2019. I didn't think I would run again after 2019, but honestly, I'm just leaving the door open. You know, the way I see it is I'm going to focus on this lawsuit. It would be very cool. It would be a kind of a nice story arc to defeat the city in a lawsuit, overturn this bad Texas law, and then come back and run again.
That would be kind of
That'd be
fun.
amazing.
Bad to do. So we'll see how things go.
Very
So
nice.
we'll
Well,
see what
thank
it
you
turns
so
into.
much.
Right now, I'm just going to focus on the. Yeah,
Is there
thank you.
anything that we can do to sort of help your efforts down there?
Well, if anybody wants to follow as far as just what I'm going to be doing in Houston, my main website is theconsciousresistance.com. That's my journalism. But if you want to follow specifically what we're doing in Houston, just my name, DerekBros.com. That's where I'm kind of. You can learn more about Proposition A and what we've been doing out here the last few months. And if you want to follow my lawsuit, there's links to all that relevant info as that goes on. And yeah, I mean, I hope that in case anybody who does live in Houston or knows anyone in Houston hears this, just please recognize that this is an opportunity for us to really shake things up. And I hope that I'm not the only person out there trying to take advantage of this.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, that work sounds incredible. I hope that you continue it, and obviously, I hope you beat these people in a lawsuit and continue to just tear them up, tear down as much of their tyrannical local power structure as possible.
Absolutely.
Luke,
Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. All right. Well, we'll be hearing from some additional local candidates in a little bit. I want to remind you all that in addition to local and state level office, we have Operation Warhawk Removal in effect right now. If you are passionate about scaling back the power of Warhawks at the federal level, we would love to have you run as a candidate at the federal level. Like, we need local candidates making changes, but we also need people to push back at the federal level, mess these people up in their primary season. And what I mean by that is we want to run powerful media campaigns at the national level against your political opponents at the federal level so that we can shake them up and make them nervous, especially incumbents. When we destroy the campaigns of federal incumbents and a newcomer comes into the race, you, as a libertarian, have a better chance and you do better at the polls against someone else who's also a first-time candidate. So that's one of the reasons we do that. The other reason that we do it, of course, is because some of these more warmongers are getting us closer and closer to World War III. And no matter whose side you take, with the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, we can all agree that United States should not be dumping its money into foreign conflicts. We should not be spending our money overseas. We should be having as much of our taxpayer dollars retained here in the United States, preferably in our own pockets. So please support Operation Warhawk removal. Your donations go towards our billboard campaign, which Luke mentioned earlier. They go towards things like voter gravity, which is a tool that helps our candidates run professional campaigns. And they go towards additional trainings, some of which we'll be having during the next year. Luke, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, you actually set me up for the perfect segue of what I wanted to bring up just real quick, which is if you are a candidate who's running tonight or someone who's inspired to run in the future after seeing these candidates choose to run, please make sure to utilize the tools that LP National is providing to our candidates, including voter gravity, which is a e-canvassing tool that'll help you to engage people at the local level, help to empower your volunteers, and to help grow our historical knowledge in future races for people who choose to come after you in your races. So please go to the LP National's website, lp.org. Go check out Voter Gravity. It is a tool that we want to make available to all of our candidates. And, we're putting our money where our mouth is. We want to support y'all. So please go sign up for it, on the LP website. And let's win some more elections.
Awesome. Well, we have got several more candidates who are ready to join us. We're going to bring out one of our candidates from Ohio first, and then we're going to have a couple more join us. So that's really great. So let's welcome to the screen Joshua Toms. Hey, Joshua, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Angela. Thank you.
So how was campaigning for you over the last week and today especially?
Stressful. It's been an uphill battle. We did pretty well though. We didn't win, but we managed to, it's 79% reporting. We got 853 votes in a race of only just a few thousand votes. So we really gave them a run for their money. It was all three incumbents that managed to get in. So they ran together all on the same ticket and everything. So
they ran on a slate together out of just a couple of thousand votes, and you had 800 something. Was this your first time running?
Yes.
That is really impressive. And what's the name of the city and what's the position you were running for?
Lebanon, Ohio's city council.
City council in Lebanon, Ohio. Did you have districts or wards?
No, every seat was at large.
Every seat's at large. And how many people are in your city?
20,000 people.
20,000 people. Fascinating. Well, as you kind of look back on it, or you're probably still kind of caught up in the middle of it right now, but is there anything that would have made it easier for you, or anything, like any kind of help you could have gotten?
Well, I got plenty of support from National. Volunteers were the most important thing. People willing to get out there and door knock. We still have money left over that we couldn't pay people to door knock. I tried contacting Americans for Prosperity and they just ignored me. And I couldn't find volunteers locally. Our affiliate is very small. So we only had, I would say about 4 people total that were regularly in there with me.
Man, that is really frustrating. I know that we're working on ballot access in Ohio right now, and we've got to get signature gatherers there. So anybody who's in Ohio, if you're listening, we need to get you guys active and engaged. We need to get everybody together working on this. Individual rights matter in Ohio. Some people say it's not a real place, but it's a very real place for everyone who lives there. I don't understand where that joke comes from.
I don't either, but it's very popular.
It's very weird. So tell me a little bit more about your campaign. What were you running to change at the city level?
Oh, wow. So there was a very real reason I was running. Not just for the sake of whatever. So these incumbents have been abusing emergency powers for years and years and years. We started looking back at the minutes, and it goes all the way back to 2016. They were using these several times every single session to pass stuff. And it's like, the process is the process. Why are you doing this? Why are you cutting people out? Right? Because when they do that, it just automatically locks it in. They keep moving. They don't allow people to voice their opinion on something. And we were like, this is a real problem. This has to stop.
Yeah.
And people in the city obviously agreed. I mean, because a huge portion of who we spoke to and door knocked did turn out.
Interesting. So it sounds like we really need like a volunteer campaign. We need to get people activated and ready to volunteer, because you certainly have political pain points that you need to solve. Did you make any friends, any fellow travelers while you were campaigning? Anybody else? Yeah.
Yes, we did. We kept our local affiliates' business cards on us the whole time, and when we really, matched with people, we would hand them out. And we have some new members that have showed up already.
That's awesome. I found, like, you can be really successful networking and growing your libertarian movement in your sort of like greater liberty community, whether it's online, whether it's at events or other organizations. Like, I love Liberty on the Rocks, AEIR, all of that. But when you want to find people who are willing to go out and do the grunt work, you're very likely to find them already doing the work, like at city council meetings, that sort of thing.
Right.
And it's like this kind of painful lesson that I think a lot more people in the party need to learn. Like, we're all so like freaking out sometimes. Do the thing. And it's like, dude, go. There's like 20 people in line who are complaining about the same thing at a city council meeting. Go like get them and like rally them and just be in charge of it. So.
And it was a steep learning curve for me.
Oh, for sure.
I was lucky to have you and people like Brian Piotr advising me. But there was a lot and a friend of mine, the chair of the Warren County Libertarian Party, we both said, man, we have learned so much, and there's so much that we would do better and differently next time. But that's the way it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you running so much. Let me bring on a couple more candidates. Can you hang out with us for a couple more minutes?
Sure.
Can you co-pilot me?
Sure.
All right. Welcome to the stage, you guys. Tell us your names and tell us what offices you are running for.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Angela. It is John Thomas and Melissa Wadding, and
Welcome.
we are from Armstrong County, Pennsylvania, and we were both running for the Armstrong School Board in Armstrong County, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so Drew was telling me a little bit about your races. Fill us in. Give us some of the juicy details, the juicy goss.
Oh, gossip. Oh, well, there's you learn the crazies that are out there. It's definitely, I've never done anything like this before, so it was a huge learning experience for me. John actually was the one who ultimately convinced me to run. And it brings out a lot in different people. I saw a lot of awesome people. I got to talk to people in the community, that was amazing. And being able to have the one-on-one, which I'm more of an introvert, so that was like way out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But it was nice to be able to talk to everybody. And then of course on the flip side, you got the crazies that do come out against you. So
we met quite a few people that had a lot of inside knowledge. It was
Very nice.
It was funny when we knocked on the door and they were like, "Oh, yeah, would you like to hear this?" And they explained a whole bunch of stuff we didn't know about.
Right. Did anybody?
It was a big learning experience.
Did anybody get invited inside by a little old lady with a bunch of cats while door Yes, that's an experience.
Yeah, I got invited inside to a little old lady who told me that I looked like her grandson. So she had to come in and show me her photo album with her grandson. So
always fun.
It's like, you're told to keep moving, right? To not spend more than 2 minutes at a house. But some of these encounters you have with just people having this vulnerable human moment are like, like real kind of like tear jerkers. And you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll come inside and interact with you as a human being. Like, I see you. I think you matter.
Yeah, 2
And
minutes at a
it's-
house never
It can
worked
be
for me.
valuable, right? Because
Yeah.
if they connect with you, then they're going to word of mouth spread.
Especially if they're like home all the time, yapping in the neighborhood with
Mhm.
other people. So you never know. I try not to do it too much, but you just use your best judgment. There are definitely times where you're like, yeah, I'm gonna come in and have milk and cookies with you because you look like you need it, and I'm a little tired too.
Yeah.
So did you encounter any school board crazies?
Um, well, one of the unique things about our campaign was that they actually invited us to a debate.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
Yes, it was interesting because it was sponsored by the AP government class at the school, which happened to be taught by the president of the teachers union, which happened to have endorsed both of our opponents. So it was basically a
setup.
well, it was-
The
yeah,
same thing
it
happened with
was-
our town hall, where the Chamber of Commerce, she was a staffer. She would come up and harass us at our local events when we were passing out stuff, and then they were the ones putting on the town hall, and so they were in it with all the incumbents, and it's just
Yep.
like total setup.
Yeah, but I think we both did very well in it. I think that it kind of backfired on them a little bit. That those who saw the debate
Mhm.
pretty much said that both of us were the winners of the debate. Probably the third place finisher was the one incumbent who did not show up, and and the last place was the guy who did. So
Admitted to supporting the WEF.
Oh,
yeah,
geez.
whenever you live in a very in a area that voted like 75% for Donald Trump, and you say that you base your focus
Information,
on
yeah.
the World Economic Forum standards, it's
Gonna be fun.
didn't seem like a good idea.
That's
But the
insane.
results are in, and he ended up. We do have the results now. He won with the World Economic Forum
But
at his back.
He wasn't
So
first.
nah, he came in second. So
let me grab Luke and let's see if he can join us. Luke. Nope. Yes, he's rejoining us. Luke.
Howdy. Sorry
Welcome
about
back. So we were just learning about supporters of Donald Trump and the World Economic Forum together.
yeah, that was a good team.
that. That's a hell of a
Unbeatable.
coalition right there.
Unbeatable coalition
For school board,
of the
which
World Economic
is-
Forum and Donald Trump.
I wish I could say that it didn't matter, but there are organizations like the World Economic Forum that just want to just craft policy and just tell everybody to adopt it. And it's sort of this like really sinister, creepy way to get control over our lives. It's almost like this extra unconstitutional agency. It's just like hovering out there, creeping on us all. I don't know.
There's
not a
members
fan.
of it that you don't realize are actually members of it too.
Totally. It's sort of like cronyism, but like worse.
Mm.
People think it's just like a joke and it's not a big deal, but they do. They craft policy for governments, and governments adopt it. They're like, well, yeah, because you're the World Economic Forum, and everybody jokes about how Klaus Schwab looks like a cartoon supervillain, and he does, but it's still a problem. Like, they don't need to be telling us how to run our schools and, not how to run our federal or state governments either.
Tulsi
Worse than
Gabbard is a
looking
member of
like
the
a
WEF.
cartoon supervillain is that he is a cartoon
Yes.
supervillain.
He is.
Eating
not
bugs
eating
and
bugs.
owning nothing.
Yeah.
Guys,
So-
I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and drop off.
Yep.
Thank you for having me so much, guys. You have a
Thanks
good
for
night.
joining us.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks.
Oh, you disappeared, but you're back. I don't know how that happened. Glitches happen. So tell us a little bit more about your experience campaigning. Is there anything that you would do differently? Did you need help, and did you struggle to get help?
I was actually surprised at the number of volunteers we kind of got at the last minute.
Nice.
For like election day, we got a lot of people who stepped up and volunteered to help. Before that time, it was kind of like we were doing it alone. I mean, we helped each other out a lot. And we had a core group within our local county affiliate who helped out quite a bit. But I mean, we were doing a lot of the work, the heavy
Yeah.
lifting until election day, and then a bunch of people stepped up, and we had so many polling places covered, that more than I thought we ever could get covered, just from people stepping up at the last minute and helping out. So I was thrilled with the amount of support that we got. The people crossing party lines for us.
Yeah.
The treasurer of the Republican Party said that he was not going to stump for the Republicans this time. He was going to be at a polling place for us. The one person who was stumping for the Republicans at the polling place that I was at would not share anything about the Republican school board candidate, because she was like, I think you guys are better. So
Nice.
So even whenever people weren't volunteering for us, there was our message was resonating, and people
talking.
saw that we were presenting something different.
What
Yeah, and I
were
had a
some of
lot
the
of people-
issues? Can you tell us about some of the
go ahead.
issues you ran on?
Well, transparency was a big one in curriculum and budget. A lot of parents are having issues with the current curriculum, with the social emotional learning and the CRT
Yep.
stuff being pushed, and parents are speaking out about it. The current board's not listening to them, but you know, it's a matter of more parents getting out there.
Do parents get to view textbooks?
Not openly. They have to actually ask for the information, and even then they try to only give them the kids version. They don't give the teacher edition.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
That's really
they
interesting.
recently just spent. They recently just spent about $700,000 on a new K-5 ELA curriculum that parents were not allowed to. Parents couldn't preview it before it was adopted, and now after the money's spent, after it's in use, parents are finding all kinds of problems with it, and just the transparency beforehand. If the parents could have looked at it beforehand, it may have saved taxpayers a lot of money, and saved kids from a lot of struggle with their parents on one side of the issue and the school on the other.
Well, and even at that too, it was an optional class. It's optional and it's ungraded, and yet they're not sending opt-out papers home to the parents. I actually spoke to a couple different people today that they were like, no, we didn't get any information. They didn't know it was optional. It's being forced on the kids, and the parents don't want it.
So was it social emotional learning that was being forced on them?
Yeah, the SEL primarily.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, and it's optional, and it's taking away from the other core gym classes and art and music, and yet, well, the one parent was told that we're not going to send out opt-out letters because we want kids to take this. So that's basically putting the kids and the parents against each other. 1984 Orwell. I mean, that's the world we're living in.
Angela,
Yeah.
this may have gotten asked when I fell off, but what are we looking at as far as vote totals are looking for y'all's race right now?
It's not looking great for us. The first few precincts that we're in didn't show. We were in third and fourth place, and I think all of the ones that came in early.
Yeah.
So it's not looking great, but there were some that were very close. I think the one larger township, the difference between third and first place was like 30 votes.
Oh, wow.
So it was relatively close. Um, a lot of people voted. Well, everyone who voted Libertarian did so because they wanted to vote Libertarian. It wasn't like people just out of habit or because my dad always voted Republican, I vote Republican. It wasn't any of that. It was people making a conscious effort to vote for something different.
Yeah.
And even though we didn't win, we did make a significant impact. Both um, both candidates thought the race was over in May. And they actually, the one basically claimed victory in May. And then he suddenly came out of his shell and started campaigning once he realized, oh, I have to work for this.
Oh, Brady Schaefer put it
Good.
too.
And we did. We made them work for it. We made them they had an expensive SMS blast message that went out the day before the campaign, attacking us, basically taking our message and applying it to them, saying that they stood for everything that we stood for, from a PAC that's mission statement said that because people push misinformation, it's okay for them to push misinformation. That was basically their mission statement.
That's a very
craziest amount of work.
interesting take on free speech there.
Yes. So they had to expend a lot of resources to take us down whenever they thought that it was going to be a 2-person race and 2 spots open. And then lo and behold, here come 2 libertarians into the race and shake things up a bit.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like with school board, it gets a really divisive race, and sometimes it gets kind of hand waved away like, oh, it's not a big deal. There's not that much CRT. There's no Marxism. But it's like the people who look into it are the ones we should be listening to, not just hand wavers on social media. And ultimately, like, it's absolutely the right of the parent to know what some government employee is telling their kids, whether it's about sex or your skin color or your like value as a human being. I think it's a really important role. So I commend you guys for running. Like, thank you so much. And I hope at the national level we can do more to help you if you choose to run again. And I hope that you do, because it sounds like you were really good candidates and you moved the Overton window, right? Like you got them out and campaigning and adopting your talking points. So that in and of itself is a win.
Yeah, well, I would say that one of the silver linings of the dark COVID cloud was that the mask was removed from a lot of what the schools did. A lot of the CRT, a lot of the gender things, a lot of the SEL things happened behind a mask, and nobody saw what was happening. But whenever they closed the schools and people were going to school in their living room or in their kitchen, parents were able to see what was happening in the school. So we think of COVID as a time where people were wearing masks, but in that one instance, the mask was removed.
Yeah.
Parents got to see what was happening, and it woke a lot of parents up. Now, that was 3 years ago, so some parents fell asleep again, but we need to keep reminding them that this is happening. It is the truth. It is real that this is happening. It's not something that we're making up. And I think we can make a real difference.
It was kind of
Absolutely.
interesting because honestly, I actually homeschool my kids. So when I would come into that against people and they would say, well, I'm not having issues in the school, or, this is happening in the school. And I'm like, look, I homeschool and I still care about your kids. And so that helped a lot of people, though, also question the homeschooling. So I think it kind of woke a lot of people up to other options besides a public school.
That's another really good way to use that platform, is to encourage people to just like check out your other options if you're unhappy with the way this is going. Yeah.
No, I
The
mean,
fewer
even
kids
if it
we have
wasn't
in government
electoral.
schools, the better.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Thomas.
I just said the fewer kids we have in government schools, the better.
Amen.
Absolutely.
And the thing is that is the dual power of running on a platform. Even if you don't win, you're able to change the narrative of what's happening. And it sounds like you guys will be great candidates for the next time around. And I really hope that you do choose to run again, because oftentimes people run once and never step back into the arena. But that's where you learn all your lessons the first time around. And we really hope to see you guys run again. And is there anything that you felt like you could have used more of from the national party or from the state party, whether it be campaign funds that would have made the difference, or whether there were any tools or any help with websites, branding? Is there anything like that you felt like could have helped you make the difference in this race?
I mean, I guess honestly for me, funding would make a difference, but at the
Yep.
same time, I had offers, and it was more last minute, so I was really stressed out about having to set up a committee and having to do this separate account, all while learning all of this. So I was a little bit overwhelmed with that, and I was like, I'll just kind of do this myself for right now. But I mean, yeah, that would have been a big. I don't know if it would have made like a huge difference per se. But I mean, that was kind of my own choice.
Sure.
I
No
think
worries. Yeah, go ahead, Thomas.
I think one area where we have an abundance of talent within our libertarian circle that may have helped if people and maybe people are out there who are talented in this way and they don't think that they can serve because they're not the type to get out and knock on doors or whatever. But we mentioned the debate that we had, and it was filmed. The audio quality wasn't great. So maybe people with the tech skills to take clips and make clips from the debate, because it's an hour and 45 minutes. Nobody's going to sit there and watch an hour and 45 minutes. But those clips from a debate, we know it with national politics. People will watch the same clips over and over again. That clip of somebody just nailing their opponent or just getting that one zinger in. It can hit big, but you have to be able to make it look great. So there are people with those tech skills I know within our party.
Not me.
And yeah, it's not me either. But so things like that. And if you're one of those people and you're listening right now, your talents are needed. Step up and volunteer.
Amen.
Well, send it my way in the meantime, and I'll see if I can find someone, because I would love to get that cleaned up and circulated as soon as possible. Make it timely.
All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. Any parting words before we wrap up? I really appreciate you. I want to say that.
Well, in one of my campaign slogans has been, "We will win, we will win, we will win," and we will win. Like we will
Nice.
win, because it cannot keep going this way.
Yep.
Eventually, the Soviet Union fell. Eventually, all tyrannies fall. We will win.
Very powerful. Thank you so much. I love the winter energy you bring. It's a total white pill. I hope you just have an awesome week, and I want to thank you again, and I hope that you inspire lots of other people to run for a local office, run for school board, kick the tyrants out of the administration, out of the classroom, and let's uphold individual values and individual sovereignty.
All right. Thanks, Angela. Thanks, Luke.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good night, guys.
Night.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. If you tuned in late, my name is Angela McArdle. I'm the chair of the National Libertarian Party. Next to me is Luke Troxel, our national fundraising director. We are celebrating election night on this off season, or off year. We still had over 100 candidates running for office, mostly for local office, but I know in the state of Virginia, they had state level elections as well. Whether you support common sense constitutional reforms, strict federalism, or national divorce, localization is key, and we can't do it without candidates who are running to peel back our rights at the local level. We need you. and we need supporters for our local candidates as well. So if you would love to support our candidates, the efforts that we're doing, please donate at lp.org. Luke, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, so just as powerful as those local candidates are, there are a lot of states gearing up for the 2024 presidential election. I know it's election night 2023, and I'm already talking about 2024. But, the thing is that we have about 14 states we still need to get on the ballot in, and we need your help to make that happen. We can fund a state for as little as $5,000 to get it funded and set up for ballot access, and you can make the difference by going to lp.org/donate and selecting our ballot access fund to help support our efforts to get ballot access in all 50 states again. These are the platforms that allow us to recruit new libertarians. And with new libertarians running for local elections and people who are great messengers running at the top of the ticket to get those ballot access races happening, including our presidential candidate who is yet to be selected, we need to get on the ballot in all 50 states. So please, if you have the ability, go donate and let's make this happen because we will win.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Luke, for joining me and being my co-pilot for the night. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And most of all, thank you so much to our candidates for running and working with us to advance libertarianism. Voting is something you can do in self-defense. Even if you're an anarchist, if you don't like voting, you should vote to defend and protect the rights that you have. Don't let them erode them even further. So everyone, I hope you have a lovely evening. We will see you on our next live stream. Have a great night.
Have a good one.